Good morning, everyone. How is everybody doing today? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully you guys are enjoying and having a good time yourself. Oh man, this is an exciting week. We got so much. Just today, there's so much happening. We got Sony dropping the next iteration of their high-end cinema line, but at a more accessible, I'll say that, more accessible price range, supposedly. We'll see in about an hour from now. The next thing, we also got Panasonic coming in at the other end of the spectrum, going all the way to Micro Four Thirds, bringing phase detection, autofocus, at least what it appears to be, coming through that. And that is the thing that we're going to be hearing about, is the face detection autofocus with the new Panasonic G9 II. There's a couple other things that are coming out. I recently just saw that Blackmagic has just scheduled their own live stream 2 days from now. So the day before IBC officially opens up and the convention actually starts, Blackmagic is going to be streaming, and I've already scheduled a watch party for that. So definitely make sure to take a look at that and make sure to hop on that, because I'm very excited, because I personally been told by a lot of things of what it could be, but we'll get into that later. And of course, there's other things. Fujifilm also just dropped something just this morning as well. So let me know so if you're here, say hi, let me know where you're from, but then also let me know what are you excited about so far. Oh, I forgot there's this little company called Apple. They're doing a big event today as well. No, that's probably nothing. But yeah, leave me in chat, and we'll sit here, we'll go over things, and we'll definitely see what it talks about. I believe the first stream is the Burano, so that one is going to be the announcement, I believe, is at 9:30. So let me just go ahead and double check real quick. Let me see if I remember correctly. It is supposed to be 9:30, and let us find Sony Alpha. Let's find Sony. By the way, just let me know right now. Do you guys hear me? Let me know how the sound is going. Hopefully, you guys hear me okay. Where is? Here it is. So it is. Yeah, this is coming. Let's see here. Sony camera. This is scheduled. Oh, so they moved it. So they changed it. It was scheduled for 9:30, but now it's scheduled for 10. So we got a lot of time to just sort of go over everything and sort of chit chat with one another. But let's see right now who's in chat. Let's pull up and see who we got here. We got ODZ. Oh, thank you for joining, man. We got ODZ here. Says 100% G9 II, but I really hope it will be a G86 with phase detection autofocus. Well, based on footage, by the way, if you guys are not following my buddy Simon, which I think I just saw him in the chat, he has a channel called Ordinary Filmmaker, does great content, especially covering new rumors and things like that before the cameras are released. He just put out a video just this morning about what is supposedly the specs, and we'll go over it again. But it does look like, in some cases, there's some things it seems to be information that seems to be missing that makes it identical. But there's a lot of things similar to the G86, but it's also including that face detection autofocus. So DZ, you may be getting your wish. Gaston is here. What's up, buddy? He's got the popcorn ready to go. Fabian, hey, what's up, man? Thank you, man. Thank you for joining. Glad to be here. Thursday noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern will be new products from Blackmagic. Yes, that is true. Like I said, Blackmagic is coming has announcements to be made. Obviously, this is IBC, probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in terms of video production, conferences, conventions, how you like to call it. So a lot of companies are going to be dropping a lot of new products to get people up. So these days are just like the hype train to lead up to that event, Blackmagic being one of them. So they, as I mentioned, it was like late last night, they scheduled a live stream. It's supposed to be going at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I can't wait to see what we got here. So, yep, and that's just like my buddy Simon, Ordinary Figures. Thank you, man. I know you got work to do, so I won't show up, but just thank you for jumping by on my channel. If you, again, definitely check out Ordinary Filmmakers. Also check out Gaston as well. He's another good friend of mine. He has his own channel. Does a lot more of the photography side, but these are all great, you know, YouTube content creators that really do stuff for this community. French follower living in Vietnam. Bonjour, my friend, bonjour. Peter, sounds good, sounds good. All right, good, good, good. Yeah, so excited about this camera. As Simon Fabian says, so excited about the camera. Ordinary Filmmaker, working on a new network standard while I'm watching the latest. The Camera Insider has all the latest specs of the G9. Yep. So Ordinary Filmmaker was all about Canon and Sony later. Well, I mean, Sony and Canon were dominating. To be fair, Sony and Canon were dominating things. There wasn't really anything out after the S5 II and the S5 IIX that really Panasonic came out with. But, you know, Simon has, we got Nikon and things like that. Trevor, what's up, man? Thank you for this. My buddy Carlos Quinteros, thank you guys for coming. So yes, we got quite a bit to cover. So while we got some time, also definitely hit the likes to help get this stream and help get those algorithms boosted up. But let's cut to some things. So like I said, we got a couple announcements, a couple things to discuss. The first one being is that Sony is going to be announcing what is now called the Burano. And maybe for those of you that live out of Europe, for those of you that are out there in Europe, please correct me if I'm wrong. Burano is this little island that is, I believe, northeast of Venice. You see the connection there? Venice, Burano. And from what I remember, it's a island with buildings that is known for its vibrant colors. So these kind of, Sony likes doing these things to give a little hints, but here are some things that's leaked information of what we're expecting to see with the Sony Burano, the new Cinealta camera. That this, number one, is going to be a full-frame cinema camera that will be the next lineup in the Cinealta line. There's been some talk that it's going to be the successor to the Venice. It is not the successor to the Venice. This guy is, the Venice, and the Venice 2 specifically, is still the top dog camera of Sony's cinema lineup. It's still top dog. This is just sort of like an alternative or another camera choice that you could be, that option. And once we get to some of the specs, you'll start seeing why. But this is not a successor to the Venice. This is just more either an alternative to the Venice or more affordable option to the Venice, or potentially if you are a Venice owner. I don't know many people on my stream. I'm certainly not a Venice owner. I do have a friend who does own a Venice, and you probably known of him. His name is Giancarlo. So he does own a Venice, and he does use the Venice a lot. I've had my hands on a Venice and got my chance to work around a Venice. I haven't actually got a chance to use it on a shoot. I would love to use it one day. It's a beautiful, beautiful image and a beautiful sensor. So this camera is supposedly going to be a 4.3K backside, not in terms of megapixel, but a 4.3K horizontal backside illuminated sensor. This is going to be able to shoot 4.3K up to 120 frames a second. And in open gate, you'll be able to shoot 4.3K up to 60 frames a second. It is going to be supposedly smaller than the Venice, but one of the key features that this camera is supposedly going to be is the fact that it is going to have a readout speed of 1 millisecond in open gate. 1 millisecond. So essentially, this is basically going to, it's not, technically they can't call it a global shutter, but this is as close as you get to a global shutter sensor without actually calling it a global shutter. So that's the key thing. The price range from what I've been hearing, and this is also coming from Andrea, who's another person who reports on rumors. So I want to give credit to him. The price is being rumored to be about somewhere between $20,000 to $25,000, which honestly is where I expected this camera to be. And the reason being is the fact that this is part of the Cinealta line. This is not the FX line, which is more of run and gun documentary owner operator style. That lineup, that's what the FX lineup is really more about. The Cinealta are designed for productions, and when I say productions, I mean, you know, you're working with a first AC, you're working with a director off screen who needs to be sent video signal to him and the client, that like a full-on production team. That's really what the Cinealta line and why the Venice is where it is. And those cameras have always been priced higher. So what used to replace, before the Venice came along, this would be the lineup that would have the F5 and the F55, and I believe there was one more that I can't think of. But that's what this lineup is sort of like. And I figured it would be around that, simply because that's also for like Red's flagship lineup, which is the Raptor. That's roughly where the price is for that as well. Now again, none of this hasn't been confirmed. This is sort of what has been leaked out by Sony Alpha Rumors, by I think it's YM Cinema. And this is sort of this information that's sort of been around. We'll find out in about I guess 40 minutes from now exactly what this is. So if that's the price, if it somehow comes somewhere closer to like $15,000, I would be pleasantly shocked, and I would say this thing would do gangbusters just on that. I know a lot of people say that's still a lot of money, but given the fact that this is really a B cam to like their flagship camera, which is like, I believe like $6,500, or it's like $50,000 to $6,500 that their flagship, depending on how you rig it up. But that's sort of where this camera is supposed to be in the environment that this camera's working with. That's still a very well, so people that may not be able to get a Venice, they may be able to get that, and they don't necessarily need that 8K resolution. So that's, now if it somehow comes under $10,000, which I don't think it's going to come under $10,000. But if some, it would be jaw-dropping for me. So that's really the idea in terms of me. So let's see what people are saying right now. So Jerry Marzilli, thank you for joining, man. He's saying this camera is what the FX6 is to the FX9, or the FX3 to the FX6. So either medium-sized Venice or baby Venice. And he is absolutely right in that regard. This is essentially a baby Venice. It's a mini Venice. I always suspected that's what it was. And based on the fact that how they named it, which is the Burano, that this is, and hopefully I'm saying it right. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. But that's essentially what this camera was really to be. It's to be the B cam to the Venice. And so totally agree with you on that. Ordinary filmmakers. So going on to Panasonic. Panasonic just confirmed the announcement at the top of the next hour. So yeah, so we got, again, 2 announcements hitting at the same time. We got the G9 II, and we have the Sony Burano. So those 2 are hitting off at the same time. So get your popcorns ready. Can't really. So Fabian's, again, they're talking about Panasonic. Will the new autofocus G9 work with any lens? We'll see. Dante Corbett says basically global. Yes, that's the key thing. This is essentially a global shutter sensor, even though technically it's not. But if anybody has actually used the Venice, or the people that I know that have used the Venice was already damn near close to pretty much global shutter, because I think the Venice was like 3 milliseconds, readout speed in open gate, and this is just 1. So it's, yeah, basically global shutter. And will it have red frame on the screen when recording? I don't guess what y'all are still talking about. And will it have red frame on the recording? I guess you guys are still talking about the Panasonic. So Pete's coming in saying Canon just dumped a ton of new products, lots of RF cine lenses, PTZ cams, and control. Yeah, this is all right. Oh, so I gotta take a look at that. I expected Canon to dump something, but yeah, this is going to be a busy week. This is a big week. So this is really nowhere near the cost of a Venice. Yeah, that's essentially, well, it's a very, I don't like saying affordable, because some people's level of affordability may not be the same. I would say it's a more accessible camera. And I figured this would be sort of the price range based on the people that got a chance, the news organizations that got the chance both to see it and get an idea of what the price would be. They were all saying, yeah, this thing is going to sell like gangbusters, which told me this is going to be the essence of the Venice, only at a much more accessible option. And this is sort of the price range. But yeah, I was actually beginning to wonder if some companies would start pulling back on full frame push. Super 35 equals full frame performance in a lot of ways. You actually sacrifice metrics to make a full frame sensor. Yeah, I don't see that happening. I especially don't see Sony given that, just for the fact that Sony's built the entire ecosystem on full frame lenses, full frame sensor technology. So it just makes sense that Sony, and same thing with Canon. You know, Canon is more of a lens company. I don't see Canon not pushing full frame cameras or pushing out full frame cameras, simply because they built lenses for them. And and right now the thing is, there's so many now more established film cinema oriented lens manufacturers like Cook and Angenu and Tokina, Vista, and a lot of these higher end cinema companies that build high end glass. They're building cinema lenses designed for full frame, not Super 35. Does this mean Super 35 is going to go away? Absolutely not. Super 35 is going to be here to stay. It is a focal length that a lot of DPs, a lot of directors have grown up using, grown up experiencing, grown up working. It's something that I still believe Super 35 is going to be the standard, but I think for those that may want to just explore their creativity, explore their options, you're going to have full frame. And judging by Fujifilm's attempts, we may actually see even a push into medium formats. But we'll see. We'll get to that. So let's see right here. Yeah, 1 millisecond. That's yeah, I agree on that. Yep, and Fuji. Fuji. Like I said, Fujifilm just dropped the GFX 100 Mark II, and we'll get to that. So don't worry, Carlos, we're gonna get to that. So does this new Sony record ProRes 444 internally? Any new codecs for XAVCI and RAW output without using a huge monitor, perhaps? I totally believe. I'm almost certain it will do ProRes. At that price range, I would be shocked if it doesn't do ProRes 4444. Because there's cameras even below that can do ProRes 444. The Confinity cameras come to mind that are in the $15,000 range. You obviously got the Komodo. You got the Komodo line that does ProRes 444. You got the Komodo X. You have the Red V Raptor that I also believe does ProRes 444 internally. So I would be shocked, especially given the fact that this camera is, I'm almost certain this camera is designed to work with the Venice. It would be shocking if it doesn't have ProRes 444, and kind of honestly a little bit of a negative in my perspective. And yeah, the question though is, will it be able to do raw recording? Now, given the fact that if I recall, again, I've got a chance to get my hands on it, but I've never fully gone through the specs. But I do believe the Venice 2 is able to record raw internally. We shall see. But again, that's definitely potentially a possibility. Carlos, you're spoiling Carlos. Carlos, calm down. We're gonna get there. I got the Fujifilm GFX 102. I'm sorry. Apologies, Sir GFX. I meant GFX 100 the second. They want you to call it the second, not two, the second. So I'm gonna put respect on his name. But Carlos, I'm gonna get there. Getting there. So hang on. All right. So let's move on really quickly, and we are going to talk about, which I think a lot of people are going to see the more affordable option, which is going to be the Panasonic G9 II. So this is going to be a micro four thirds sensor. They're bumping it up from 20 megapixels up to 25. I believe the exact number is 25.2 megapixels. Basically, the same amount of megapixels that is in the GH6. In fact, it seems to have quite a lot of similar features with the GH6. So some of the similar features, it will have 5.7K up to 60 frames a second, like in the GH6. You'll be able to shoot 4K 120 frames a second, like the GH6. Now, if I had to take a guess, my guess is those are going to be 10-bit 420 recording options, like it is in the GH6. They won't be 10-bit 422, and it's supposedly having 13 stops of dynamic range. Again, like the GH6, it supposedly has about 13 stops of dynamic range when you are using the dynamic range boost mode. So does this mean the G9 is going to have the dynamic range boost mode where, you know, it definitely does improve the Latitude performance, but it comes at a cost at very high ISO, base ISO of 2000. So it doesn't necessarily will have that dual native ISO, which I know a lot of people are more used to it and prefer when it comes to Panasonic. I'm neutral on that. I just care if the image just looks good. I don't care if it's a dual sensor readout, a dual gain output, a sensor readout like this or the C70, or if it's a dual native ISO like the GH5, like the GH5S, or the pocket cinema cameras, or most cameras today. To me, it's not as big of a deal. To me, it's more important it's the image. But this does sort of indicate that it will, given the fact that a lot of the features that are being confirmed are similar, it sounds to me like this is either the same sensor that is in the GH6 or something different, and we may see dynamic range boost mode. It's going to have 8 stops of IBIS when you pair it with a stabilized lens. It will have dual recording. Now, we don't know yet if this is going to be like the GH6 that will have a CF Express Type B and an SD cards, or if it's going to be more like the S5 II and the S5 IIX, where it's going to be 2 SD card slots. And that could really change things up. If I had to take a guess, especially given the price points, which it seems to be aiming at $1,600, that's what I'm sort of hearing. My guess is it's going to only have SD card. It's only going to have SD cards. It will not have the CF Express Type B cards. But it will have what everybody's been waiting for, which is the long-awaited phase detection autofocus in the Micro Four Thirds ecosystem. So I'm basically, so am I, look, I'm going to switch, go to switch to the G9. No, I'm not going to switch to the G9. I gotta see. First of all, I want to see what people think. I personally want to get my hands on it because there's just so many features I just absolutely love about this camera. I actually just used this. I just actually used this along with my C70. This was my B cam for an event that I was filming, and this just the features like the multi-angle, also tilt screen. Basically, it's a lot more important to me than I ever thought I would realize. The CF Express Type B cards is a key thing. Will that have that? We don't know yet. So there's a lot to be unknown about this this camera. But from what it looks like, it's going to be the same sensor that's in the G8 So, but it may hold back on some features like a CF Express Type B card, and it'll go SD cards. Now, obviously, there's potential of going out to an SSD. From what I've also been hearing is that you can go SSD out to get Apple ProRes recording. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. If you followed my channel, you know how I feel about going out to Type-C to SSDs. Don't do it, and I'll just leave it like that. Just go HDMI out and just shoot on like an Atomos or a video assist from Blackmagic and shoot it that way. It's a much more logical sense. Again, I beat a dead horse on that, and I get some people's arguments, but yeah, I'll just leave it like that. But that is a potential possibility. We'll see. So let's see what we're hearing there. Let's see here. So let's go to Trevor. So this is going back to the Burano. I almost say this camera is a shot over the bow of makers like Kinefinity, who are finally starting to get some traction in the high-end space in the 15 to 20K price range. I can totally see that, man. I haven't shown this yet, but Kinefinity did send me their Mavic Edge 6K. I've seen some clips, but it was for a documentary. I'm in the final stages of the documentary. We're almost done with it. So when that is done, I'll be finally able to show you BTS. I'm going to definitely drop some BTS, some breakdowns, and some behind the scenes, and finally give my review on it. It just felt like it doesn't seem right if I couldn't finish the project first before giving my thoughts on it. But little tease, I had a blast with that camera, and the image is awesome. I'll go more in detail when I finally do my review, and that is coming, because I know some people have been wondering, where is that coming? It's just I've been focused on getting the post-production of this project done, and once that's ready, I'll definitely give my thoughts. But yeah, Kinefinity, it was one of the things I said back at NAB all the way back in April. I said, Kinefinity, a lot of these Chinese companies like Kinefinity, Zcam, they are coming, and they're coming hard. And if this is the response, hopefully if this is a response, because if it is, then that means that what they're doing is working, and the big dogs are responding, and at the end of the day, it just benefits us. So I agree with you, and I also think you're right. The Burbank, yeah, the Burano. Okay, yeah. It is rumored to be the same sensor as the G8 which, again, based on the rumor specs that have been released, it makes sense. Trevor says, watch out for Panasonic. Their cameras are brilliant, and now with phase detect added, they will pick up steam. Totally agree. And if you haven't seen, I also put out a video about a patent that they filed for an electronic ND filter tray. And based on the designs that they released, it looks like it's going to be for a mirrorless camera. So one, I was wondering, is that going to come for the S1H? But now that we know that the announcement with IBC, that tells me the S1H is not coming this year, or the S1H II, it's not coming this year. That's going to probably be either best case scenario early next year, but if I had to take a guess, it's probably going to be late spring, maybe summer of next year, just because of that patent. Because I'm almost certain with the S1H II, they're going to want to put that electronic ND filter into the S1H. Hopefully, also we get to see it, at least for me personally, hopefully we get to see that in potentially a BS1H Mark II, because I do love the design of the BS1H a little bit more than the S1H. So that's just me. But yeah, they're Panasonic, as well as hopefully we'll see in 2 days what Blackmagic will be coming with. I'm really excited to see, because rumors have been going everywhere about them. I think, let's see here. I think it will be SD with SSD recording capability as an add-on. Yeah, totally agree with you, Pete. I agree. And yeah, that seems to make sense, just given the fact of if they put a CF Express Type B card, to me it's just like, it's essentially a GH6 with face detection and autofocus. Look, it's probably still going to I know a lot of people are still going to feel like it will nullify the GH6, and I totally will get it if it does. The Apple ProRes, I just love shooting with it. It's so smooth on my computer. It's just, it has a more organic look to it versus like the H.265. I just love it. I just love shooting with that. For me, I have to do it internally. If I can't, it's not something I desire, especially for something like this. I've like, the design of this is so good. The layout, it's so great in the terms of how they designed this camera. I never have needed to put a cage on it, and I still haven't. It does everything work well. If some of these features are missing, I now have to either go SSD, which I will never do. So most likely I'll have to go to an external monitor like an Atomos or a Blackmagic Video Assist to do that, which again you can, and especially given the fact that you can do 4.3 raw, you can do 4.3 open gate raw recording out that's a big deal. So totally agree with you, Pete. I think it's going to probably be an SD with an SSD recording options, but I'm not a big fan of that SSD. Cut, thanks for joining, man. Cut says, Lumix has been on a roll with the latest releases. The S1H II is going to be amazing. I hope so. This is just a thing about me, but I do agree. I think there's going to be a lot of excitement and build up for when that S1H II finally comes out. I agree. They're really picking up interest. Trevor comes back, says the S1H has an electronic ND filter. If the S1H II has an electronic ND filter, I will lose my bleep. Yeah, man. I knew you would. I knew you would. I knew you would be excited. And look, I would be excited too. I would be excited. I just really hope, and I don't know if Panasonic watches my content, but if Panasonic does, or maybe you can send this part to, you could clip this part and send it to Panasonic. I just wish they would just shrink the body. The body's a bit too big for my liking. It was a bit too big and a bit too heavy. So if they can shrink the body size down, I would actually be open for it, especially if they put that electronic ND. Like, that would be, again, a killer. That would be a killer feature that it's going to make other companies sweat a little bit more. Free Piece says, how would you compare the image quality out of the GH6 versus 8K RAW coming out of the R5? The R5, in terms of clarity, is better. The R5, the 8K RAW out of it is awesome. The 8K out of it it's crisp. It's got so much sharpness. It's got clarity, but it's not overly sharp. It doesn't have for me personally, it doesn't have an oversized digital option in the RAW format. Now, if you go with the non-RAW recording formats, it does have that. it does have that digital sharpness that, you know, if you're going for a little bit more of that organic film look, it will throw you off. The GH6, just straight out of the gate, has a very organic look to it that I just love. The colors, the only thing for me is that the colors with the GH6, especially the reds, they're a little bit too saturated for my liking. Like, it really punches the saturation, which does help with skin tones, because Canon does the same thing. They really emphasize the reds. Like right now, you can definitely see a lot more red in the skin tones. Also because I'm actually shooting on, book lighting. My key is basically book lighting a tungsten. So I'm actually shooting with a tungsten lamp, going old school tungsten lamp, bouncing it off a board and shooting it through a bit of diffusion. So there's a lot more saturation than what I used to have here. But one of the things what I loved about Canon, and I also love it about Panasonic, is that it pulls the reds out of your blood cells, which gives you that fuller color tones. But but Canon typically pushes it like right at the edge to where before it gets too jarring. Panasonic just jumps over that, goes full on skydives off that edge. And a lot of times I just have to dial that red back. That's the only thing about the colors about the GH6 is, but outside of that, like I love the image out of that. The dynamic range, I will say the R5 is, I will say it's slightly better, but honestly, this is going to be a bit controversial, but I'm just going to go say it. I'm putting a video, but so you guys are going to get a preview of this. Dynamic range is overrated. In terms of just how we value dynamic range, in terms of the numeric aspect of it, dynamic range is overrated. And at least how YouTubers and how we talk about it here in the platform, it's gotten a little bit ridiculous where we're so caught about the different numbers that all of a sudden we dismiss cameras that may have a little less. A perfect example of that is the Confinity. Whereas, before I get to that, where we don't really talk about how that dynamic range works on the extremes. How does it roll off? How does it? We're looking more at the numbers that it can produce instead of how does it actually work when in actual filming environment. And nothing has been a better example than the Confinity. A certain YouTuber did a review on it and basically didn't poo-poo the dynamic range, didn't say the dynamic range sucked, but definitely said it was not up to par as some of the full-frame cameras, which the numbers he pointed out showed it. You all probably know who I'm talking about. But I'm telling you right now, I used that camera, when I used the Confinity Marvel Edge 6K, that latitude performance was awesome. I did a highlight overexposure test on my channel. You can check that out. The ability to remap how you can distribute your latitude gives you an insight to how cameras perform that you don't really get to see in modern cameras. So maybe it only has about 11 and a half stops of dynamic range, but the way you can use and distribute that is far more valuable. And also, so many people just forget about the fact that professionals, we light our scenes. We don't just go in and just shoot. I understand documentaries and there's certain environments that comes to that, and I get, that's why cameras like the C70s, the RELXs, and the Venice, and some of these other cameras that have super extreme good quality dynamic range, they perform well, and for those environments, they do well. But to me, we've lost the whole point, which just, okay, more of you had what you had, how do you work with it? We've been using cameras that were far worse performance than what we have right now, and we're able to still get cinematic quality images. So my whole thing, I'm sorry for this rant, but it was sort of more of a, let's not just be bogged down by the numbers, because it's just like if it doesn't have 13 stops of dynamic range, the camera sucks. And that's really the thing that's been irking my gripe for a lot of cameras that have been coming out for some time. So, rant over. Sorry about it. Let's see here. With the S1H, S1H with recording B-RAW or ProRes RAW with some backup solutions like the FX3. Yeah, that would be awesome. But we'll see. We'll see. I remember when I was talking to Matt at NAB, where the option to try to record RAW, I don't know if that was a priority for them. I really hope that we do, where we can record RAW. It's one of the reasons why I love what Canon has done with their RAW recording options, where you can record RAW and you can also record a backup as well. Not many cameras can do that, but because they can record RAW internally, they can do that as well as create a backup. So like with the R5 and the R5C. But yeah, that's something I definitely want to see. It has to be usable dynamic range. There's a lot of cameras where 2 or 3 stops of their 14 stops of DVR are just atrocious. Totally agree. And I've used the GH6 so many times where I can, and I'm using extreme contrast areas, but just, we've gotten, like, lights are, well, number one, lights have gotten so compact and portable. You can literally put up a small light and you can just get that at 1 stop or 2 stops that you would need to clear out that shadow area, and the problem is solved. It's knowing what to work with it. Totally agree with you, man. Yeah, it's about the quality, but also it's the knowledge of knowing. So, Trevor, the quality of usable dynamic range is what matters. Totally agree, man. Totally agree. Panasonic codecs are super solid. I don't see them being overly concerned with adding more. Like I said, I would just like the option of being able, if I'm going to record RAW externally on a Panasonic camera, with the option to just for safety, just record in a small codec. I don't need more codecs, but just an option to record internally while I'm recording externally. That's just my only thing. Let's see where we are with, we are 17 minutes. Wow, so yeah, so we are 17 minutes from both Sony and Panasonic with their announcements. So, awesome. So, while we're in here, we got other news, and Carlos has been talking about this. And again, I woke up to this and I was just like, oh, interesting. And that was the news that from Fujifilm, that they just announced a new medium format camera, and that is the Fujifilm GFX 100 the second, not 2, the second. This is the GFX 100 the second, and I'm going to call it that. So this is Fujifilm's next generation of medium format cameras. This will be a 102 megapixel medium format camera. It's, I believe I said, if I heard from all the different websites, it's going to be able to shoot 8 frames per second mechanical, which I know seems very, very low, but keep in mind this is a medium format camera that is shooting RAW at 16-bit with 16 plus stops of dynamic range. That's a lot of data. And it's 100 megapixels. That's a lot of data. 8 megapixels is actually pretty damn impressive. And then there's, I believe is 60 frames a second electronical, and I'm almost certain you have to shoot JPEG in order to do that. So there's that. In terms of video features, it will be able to do at full sensor shoot 4K up to 60 frames per second in 10-bit, and you can do this in H.264, H.265, and Apple ProRes internally, because it has a CF Express Type B card. Seriously, people, camera manufacturers, please, SD cards, they're great, they're affordable, but but why is there only one? This is, if I recall, this is like almost an $8,000 camera. There should be 2 CF Express Type B cards, not just one. But okay, maybe we'll do proxies or like small backups. Okay, um, but 10-bit 4K 60 using the full sense during the full horizontal readout. And if you go crop in to the 5.7K mode, you can get 5.7K at the 24 to 1 aspect ratio crop up to 60 frames a second. And if you crop into, I think, a 1.4 times crop, you can get 8K up to 30 frames a second, again, in 10-bit. And I believe you can do all of this with H.264, H.265, and Apple ProRes. The 8K is a 1-to-1 readout, but it's 8K. I'm pretty sure you're not losing that much resolution. The only thing is like the only effect you may have is sort of, because you're cropping in on the sensor, the light is spread out, so it's not concentrated as much. So you may see some softness there. But again, it's 8K video. It's going to be sharp. And then externally, you can record 8K RAW via a Blackmagic Video Assist or an Atomos recorder, again, using that 1.4 crop mode. And the price, let me see if I can go on B&H to find this really quickly. The price is, yep, I was close enough. The price is $74.99. So that is the Fujifilm GFX 100 the second. This is actually, to me, quite an intriguing camera. This is a very intriguing camera. And I don't know if I would ever get it, but it actually has enticed me as someone that's just like, you know what, I just want to be able to still use my brain as a filmmaker on the go when I go out and I travel with my family. And maybe it's definitely overkill for that. And then maybe doing something, but in terms of my photographers, like my buddy guest on Shutters, that looks like a beauty, be able to have all that megapixels. And I believe there's like one of those quad shoots where you could shoot 4 images at the same time, and it will give you 400 megapixels. So you want to have something shot where you could blow it up on Times Square and just get super extra crisp, you can do it. But yeah, but the idea of, as a filmmaker, to be able to shoot it to be able to shoot on a medium format, getting even closer to like IMAX production, that's something that is definitely worth, being intrigued by. I did notice, though, that there was no talk of, and I don't see anything about it in what was released, was that there's, in terms of an open gate option. There doesn't appear to be, which I get. They're like, it's 100 megapixels. We're not, but even if you didn't use the whole megapixels, if you could downsample the open gate, the 4.3 open gate to 4K, I would take that. That's the only thing. And there's also, Fujifilm actually put in like professional video features. There's vector scopes in here. There's waveforms in here. They're in here. I wish they would be false color, but you know what? That's fine. I'll get like a small HD and get EL zone, which is even better than false color. So that's not bad. But the fact that it has false color, the fact that it has vector scopes, I didn't see shutter angle. I don't think that there is shutter angle, but still, I'm glad this shows to me Fujifilm is really taking the filming aspect of their cameras way more seriously, and I'm excited about that. And it gives the idea, it just opens the idea again for those that want to expand their creativity and try new ways to sort of set them apart, find their identity as a filmmaker, as a creative, and if you're a cinematographer, as your cinematographer. It's just another tool, another option that you can explore. And I really, really do appreciate that. All right, so let's look here. Fuji is on a mission to blow up every hard drive currently on your desktop. And I believe they will succeed, Trevor. I believe they will succeed. I guess everybody's laughing at the third. The video to cloud feature sounds cool. Okay, so that's cool. Baby area that does 102 megapixel photos. I don't know if I could, okay. I don't know if I would call it that, but because I don't know how the latitude, because Air is more about the organic of the image, more so than resolution, and they've always been. So I don't know if Air is a good comparison. I would say they're more of the baby red with 100 megapixel photos. That seems to be more accurate. Announcement, Simon from Ordinary Fickle says, announcement confirmed 100% at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Panasonic to start immediately for pre-orders to start immediately for Panasonic, but Sony pre-orders will start tomorrow at 10. Okay. Trevor says the biggest hurdle will have to overcome. The biggest hurdle medium format will have to overcome is not resistance to synthesize. It will be the limitation of glass. There's nearly zero cine glass for it, and it will be expensive when it does come. Very true. Very true. There's not a lot of glass. But though I would make the argument that you could probably, this is more for people that want to go more retro and want to go, say, with some, there's still photo glasses, but I believe you can get them rehoused. The Mamiya 645 Sequor C's. If you can find those, because you can get, I think you get those anywhere between $300 to $600. You can find them on eBay for like anywhere between $300 to $600. Media Division did a great ad promo for them, especially for what he dubbed the Dark Knight, which was the 80 millimeter f1.8. But I believe you can, if you buy those, I think there's a company where you can rehouse them into full-on cinema glass. So that may be that may be a path that, so I think if people were to try to explore this option with the GFX 100 the second, I think that's sort of the way that we're going to go. And as Dante points out, you can adapt PL glass to it. Carlos says, I love my GFX 100 for stills, but I hate trying to shoot video for it. Yeah, the files on that is going to be just absolutely insane on it. So definitely, I totally agree. Like, I'm scared. I would upgrade to a new computer before I would possibly get this, because I would be scared. So, Carlo, so another things that just dropped as we find out is that Canon has now dropped a new set of RF. They finally introduced RF cinema primes. And let's go to B&H. We got, let's see, how long before the Panasonic and Sony announcement? We got 6 minutes. So let's try to knock this out really quickly. So we got new lenses, cinema lenses from Canon on their RF mount. The full line of 7 full-frame SNR primes include a 14, a 20, 24, 35, 50, 85, and 135. These new primes feature native RF mount communications while also remaining fully manual. This is very fast T-stops, provided shallow depths of field. Looks like all of them except for the 14 and the 135 are essentially T15. So very similar to if you're familiar with their original EF cinema primes. Seems like it's sort of in the same area. So now they also have their high quality glass supports peripheral illumination, suppresses chromatic aberration, and offers distortion corrections for a sharp edge-to-edge image. When used on supported cameras, the lens uses a dual pixel focus guide and can hurdle up to 8K with HDR. All right, let's just, Canon, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut away for a second. Canon, I'm going to call them out for a second. Most glass can shoot 8K, can deliver 8K quality. and they've been doing it for decades. So like this is not like this is a new thing. Like this is something that, you know, we've had high resolution cameras for decades. This is stuff to do. So yes, we can shoot 8K, but a lot of glass can do that as well. So a little bit of marketing gimmick. If I gotta be fair, I gotta call a spade. I gotta be fair. So that's it. It looks like they're also announcing some new PTZ cameras, which is cool. And then they got a new remote camera controller. So again, this makes sense that Canon would announce these. Like number one, IBC is just like NAB. It's a broadcast heavy conference. So a lot more broadcast oriented, a lot more high-end professional video camera focus oriented. That's really what these are more about. So the PTZ cameras, I know they're going to make their ways in house of worships, reality shows. So I definitely see them coming up like that. All right, we are 4 minutes away. So, and also again, I gotta point this out. I gotta point this out really quickly. You know, if you don't know, I forgot to mention this really quickly, but Blackmagic Design, don't count them out yet. Don't count them out, because as you see right here, they have an update in 2 days. At 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, they're going to be making their own announcements. So what could that be? So the rumors are that it's going to, as I talked about and as Andrea initially reported this, it is looking to be maybe a more mirrorless body style pocket 6K, still Super 35. The other thing that I have been hearing is that it's going to be more cinema camera-like, but full frame. Again, so that should tell you most people don't know anything. And I'll just say I have people that I know work directly with Blackmagic, and you know, me pointing out, I did ask them, look, and exactly what I said when I made the video was that Blackmagic is still not leaking things. They're still very tight-lipped. So, and they're very big about not leaking information if it's not intended. So everybody's been throwing things out of what could possibly, maybe it's finally the box camera. We can hope. I feel like they're going to cover a lot of things, but especially since the fact that they said the Blackmagic Design update, they're going to cover a wide range of things. They're going to cover things in their broadcast line. There may be an update to resolve, but I don't think they're going to go full on 19. To me, it doesn't make sense given the fact that we just released 18.5 about 6 months ago. But a new camera is, especially for their cinema line of cameras, I think it's definitely long in the tooth and ready to be explored. We shall see in 2 days. And I've already, before we get ready to the announcement, just wanted to let you guys know, I have set up a live stream for the watch party. So it will be at 12:30 in 2 days. So come back here in 2 days and join me, and we will continue this party of this week. Like I said, we got crazy week, and we haven't even gotten to Apple yet. So let us get ready to go. I am going to, all right. So let me ask you guys this. Well, we got a couple minutes before this. I'm on Sony and I'm on Panasonic. So what would you guys like to be? Would you like to be watching the Burano announcement, or would you like to see the G9? Let me know in chat. Which one would you like to be the play throughout? And then we'll conversate in chat in the meantime. So let me know. Would you want to see the Burano coverage, or would you rather see the G9? So let me know. G9, Panasonic. It looks like Panasonic is winning. All right. Well, it's done started, so any Buranos? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, it looks like the Panasonic wins. All right, so let me cue this up and let us get ready. And here, go.
Hello, my name is Sean Robinson, host of Lumix Live and marketing member at Lumix USA. Welcome to the next exciting step in the new phase of Lumix cameras. In 2008, Panasonic Lumix pioneered the mirrorless camera category with the introduction of the Lumix G1. Since that day, we've been innovating cameras and technologies to help photographers and videographers get the most out of their equipment. So today, it brings me great joy to introduce the newest addition to the Micro Four Thirds line of cameras, our new flagship camera, the Lumix G9 Mark II. The first Lumix Micro Four Thirds camera equipped with phase hybrid AF designed for high-speed performance, so you won't miss that decisive moment. Now, there's a great sense of accomplishment for photographers when we can capture the decisive moment we've been aiming for. Moments like that bird that takes forever to take off, that split second when our family or friends burst out into laughter, or that perfect play in our child's football game. At Lumix, we strive to deliver cameras and technology that make these moments unmissable. And we believe the Lumix G9 Mark II does just that. With the combination of our new and improved phase hybrid capable image sensor, paired with our latest image processing engine that generates 2 times the processing speed, the Lumix G9 Mark II takes image quality, AF performance, and continuous shooting capabilities to the next level. The Lumix G9 Mark II is equipped with a newly developed 25 megapixel 4/3 sensor, capable of ultra-fast readout speeds, phase hybrid autofocus, and an unparalleled ability to produce rich tonal range for generating the highest quality images with improved shadow detail among Micro Four Thirds cameras and even some full-frame ones. With an improved low ISO capability of ISO 100, the Lumix G9 Mark II creates a major step forward for outdoor photographers who desire to capture the world through wide-open lenses. And in addition, the ability to utilize the 100 megapixel handheld high-resolution shot mode enables photographers to create stunning masterpieces full of detail. Now, phase hybrid autofocus has also made a leap forward in the Lumix G9 Mark II. In addition to our human, eye, and animal tracking found in the S5 Mark II and Mark IIX, the Lumix G9 Mark II adds a new recognition mode for even more precise focusing. The animal AF detection has been evolved to now include detecting animal eye AF mode. And for those motorsports photographers out there, the Lumix G9 Mark II also includes a new car and motorcycle detection, something I'm personally excited to work with. In addition to our blazing fast 60 frames per second burst mode, the pre-burst functionality is making its return to the Lumix line of cameras. First introduced in the Lumix G9 Mark I, this mode has been expanded to extend control over the pre-burst duration. This puts the control in your hands to capture that missable shot you've been waiting for. So stabilization has been a long time highlight of the Lumix line of cameras. And now with the G9 Mark II, stabilization has gotten even better. The Lumix G9 Mark II pushes another step forward with the ability to compensate for 8 stops through our new active IS technology, allowing users with telephoto lenses to capture with confidence while out in the field. And usability of a camera in the field is incredibly important. From the screen and EVF resolutions to battery grips and the physical controls, access to manipulate various settings with ease can be the difference between getting the shot and a complete miss. Because of this, we've updated the rear LCD resolution to 1.86 million dots. And we're releasing a new DMW BG1 battery grip designed to match the new chassis and carry over the improved 8-way joystick found on the G9 Mark II. And as an additional benefit, the new DMW BG1 battery grip will also be compatible with the Lumix S5 Mark II and Mark IIX. So technological advances are great. But what really makes a photograph or a video? It's color. At Lumix, we've spent the last 15 years refining our color science to offer creators near unlimited control over your look. And nothing demonstrates this more than the inclusion of our recently released real-time LUT system. The Lumix G9 Mark II enables users for both photography and videography to take that perfect look that you create in post and export it as a LUT, or lookup table, to put right on the camera. This saves you time in post for quick turnaround, or gives you that next little level of added creativity to your style. But if you're a black and white photographer, you won't be disappointed either. With the inclusion of our Leica monochrome profile that's been developed under the L² technology with Leica. And Leica is well known for its superior picture quality and has a reputation from users all over the world for its outstanding depiction and expressiveness. Through our L² technology collaboration, we've learned the picture-making philosophy that Leica has built up over its long history and realized this mode as one of the new profiles found in the Lumix G9 Mark II. Let's change pace for a moment. While the Lumix G9 Mark II is a photographic powerhouse, video capabilities are still an important thing in this creative world. So it's in this regard that we couldn't just settle on the bare minimum. From the inclusion of 4K video at 120 frames per second and full HD slow motion recording up to 300 frames per second, and even 5.8K full sensor area recording up to 30 frames per second, the Lumix G9 Mark II will prove itself ready for those that are just starting in videography and even those seasoned creators looking to add an additional body to your kit. And as a cherry on top, the Lumix G9 Mark II is also able to record all of your photo and video options to an external SSD for unparalleled flexibility. Now, with active IS technology, the Lumix G9 Mark II closes the gap to those situations where stable and fluid camera movements are a must. With advanced electronic image stabilization algorithms developed for the Lumix G9 Mark II and customizable strength levels, gimbals can be considered a thing of the past. Whether it's that locked-off shot or following those birds across the sky, Active IS has your back. And as expected, with Lumix cameras, V-Log and V-Gamut comes pre-installed, providing next-level color grading capabilities and an expanded 13+ stops of dynamic range for those situations where the light is challenging or HDR is your desired output. So cameras are the only one piece of this whole story. And the true advantage of Micro Four Thirds is the system as a whole. With focal lengths ranging from 14mm to 1600mm, the Lumix Micro Four Thirds lenses offer near unlimited creative freedom and access to one of the most versatile platforms for creators. It's because of this versatility that we are proud to announce an update to the Leica DG line of Lumix lenses. Now, back in January of 2023, we released our updated flagship 12-35 f2.8. With improved color reproduction, an anti-flare and ghosting reduction, shortened minimum focus distance, and the Leica DG design specifications, this workhorse lens brings our professional series of Micro Four Thirds lenses into the next phase, along with the Lumix G9 Mark II. But workhorse lenses don't just stop at 12-35 f2.8. And it's because of this that we're also excited to announce the renewal of our 35-100mm f2.8. With updated nano surface coating to reduce those flares and ghosting, and the Leica DG design specification, creators looking for the top level of performance in your telephoto range can look no further. But with the Lumix G9 Mark II supporting phase hybrid autofocusing, animal eye detection, pre-burst stills capability, and an impressive 60 frames per second burst functionality, Wildlife and sports photographers are going to need an ultra-telephoto lens that's up to the challenge. That's why we are super excited to announce the renewal of the Lumix Leica DG 100 to 400mm lens. This renewal not only improves the compatibility with the phase hybrid autofocusing, but also enhances the usability while out in the field. The new design improvements enable the compatibility with the Lumix 2X teleconverter for reach out to an effective 1600mm field of view, and it refines the overall fit and finish and zoom control with the new lens. We think those of you working in the field with long lenses are going to love this update. So there's been a lot to unpack today. The new Lumix G9 Mark II, the first micro four thirds camera from Lumix supporting phase hybrid autofocus, the renewal of our 12 to 35, 35 to 100, and 100 to 400mm lenses designed specifically to take advantage of the G9 Mark II's new capabilities, and our firm commitment to the micro four thirds world from Lumix. The Lumix G9 Mark II has evolved to take its place as the uncompromising flagship for photographers within the Lumix line. And now, we can't wait to see what defining moments you create. So thank you for joining.
All right, so I think this basically gave us the gist of the G9. It's sort of what we expected. It is the G8 with a couple things. If you want, let's switch over. I'm going to switch over and try to capture while they're going to talk about this. I'll switch over to the Sony presentation, so we can get a little bit of that as well. But I was, as most people basically saw, I was watching the Sony event. So it was not a 4.3K. It was indeed a 8.6K, but it looks like it's not going to be the. Oh, so basically all they did was there's no presentation. It's just an intro. So I'm gonna play the intro video, and I'm gonna let you guys take a look at it. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you guys to the Sony Burano. apps. Yeah, I do think this is going to sell. I mean, especially given Sony's big in Europe, I expect this to do great. Now, from what I understand, the incoming stabilization is electronic. It's not actual. So they got a variable hidden filter, which is the first of the Cinealta. All right, I'm gonna kill. So I'll kill the music. But yes, sorry, I'll just switch it up because did y'all care to listen to the music? There's no dialogue or anything happen. So it's going to have the phase detection, autofocus point. It's going to have phase detection. I think this is actually the first Cinealta camera that's going to have phase detection. So this looks to be the hybrid between the Venice. This is like the hybrid between the Venice and the FX line. It's coming with a lot of stuff from the variable ND, like from the FX line with the variable NDs, the phase detection. It looks like but it's going to have the color and the workflow and the production of the Venice. So, yeah, I think this thing is going to I know a lot of people are going to say, man, this is still price. Working DPs, I guarantee you this is probably going to be the camera for a lot of working DPs, especially in Europe. As I mentioned, Sony's are big. So it looks like they got a heat ventilation system. It's got dual CF Express Type B cards. Wow, they moved from A to B. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. This thing is gonna sell. This is gonna sell like hotcakes. Yeah, I think Anton, you said it best. This is going to be a beast in documentaries. I see a lot of documentaries that are looking to go to Netflix. They're gonna shoot on this. So what we got here? And I think that's it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Burano. So that looks awesome. Let me see if I can. So I'm going to try to find the links for those. But yeah, the Burano. I gotta say right now, that is a very, very desirable camera. But the G9, look, the G9 it's no slouch either. The G9 looks very similar to the G86. So I don't think I caught the media. So let me see if it's in the specs. Let me see what the media type is. It is SD cards. It's exactly what I said. It's exactly what I thought it would be. It is essentially it's the price of the G9. So let's pull it up. I'll pull it up right here. And also, if you want, if you're looking to pre-order the G9, I'm leaving it. I left the link for that where you can go and pre-order it in the description as well. But let's cut right into it. So we'll start with the Panasonic, then we'll get back to the Sony. So the G9 is a lot of similarities to the G86 with the G9 II, 25 megapixels. It's got mechanical shutter. You can shoot up to 14 frames per second for stills in mechanical, 175 frames, 20 frames in JPEG. Internally, it's going to shoot in H.264 in the 5.7K, and where you could shoot in the open gate option, and then you could shoot 17:9 as well. So you can shoot 5.8 in open gate, 4.3. You can shoot 5.7K in the 17:9. My guess is these are all H.265 recording options. You can record ProRes internally, but it's only 1080. So only 1080 options are available. You can go 10-bit 422 out, and I'm pretty sure if you go to external recorders, and I believe they have the SSD. So again, a lot of similar features to this guy, except it doesn't have the CF Express Type B cards. I didn't see if it has the same variable angle. It does not. It looks like it does not have the pull-out tilt multi-variable angle screen like the GH6 does. But as you can see here, the price is $1,900. So that's that is the gist of that. Well, let me know what you guys think in the chat. What you guys think of the G9. Angelo, so let's take a look at those comments. Angelo, joined a bit late, but hey, you're here. The party's still going on. Definitely love to have you here. So let's go back. Let me see if I missed anybody. Let's see here. Dante says IBIS on the G9 II is amazing. Look, amazing IBIS is what we kind of expect from Panasonic at this time, because they've just been leading the charge with their IBIS system. So, but let's now go into let's now look into the Sony Burano, which is this guy right here. And yeah, this one, it's a lot of it is just kind of what was expected, what I thought about, some not. And again, I don't know if there's any working, I don't know if any of you guys are working DPs that are in my channel that may be potentially on for this, but if you did, there is a pre-order link right there where you guys can go look at the Sony Burano as well. But let's talk about this beast of a camera, because I agree, like the things that people were saying before, I agree. This thing is going to sell like hotcakes. In the high-end documentary, in the high-end cinema, I'm going to tell you right now, this camera is going to do for Sony in relationships with their Venice and their Cinealta line. It is going to do what the Alexa Mini did for the original Alexa, where it's like this thing came out and it just took over everything. And that's what I truly think we're going to see. So this is Sony's new full-frame 8K cinema powerhouse beast of a camera. So let's look at some of the, so now it's going to be able to come with a PL, and then behind that PL mount is an E-mount system. So that is going to be cool. It is the first of its, of the terms of the Cinealta. I'm talking specifically Cinealta, not FX6. And you'll see it, as I mentioned before, when you're looking at this, this seems to be the hybrid, the child of the FX line and the Cinealta line. This is the first one of the Cinealta line that actually has face detection autofocus. So available with Sony E-mount lenses, the Burano camera's autofocus option includes fast hybrid AF, phase detection autofocus, contrast detection autofocus, and human eye AF for accuracy capture and fast moving subjects, even when you're operating alone. So yeah, documentaries, this is going to be big. Image stabilization. A feature unique to Burano is its in-camera image stabilization for both E and PL mount lenses. A first in digital cine style, the new PL lenses featured provide 3-axis pitch, yaw, roll stabilization. The E-mount lenses benefits from 5-axis pitch, yaw, roll stabilization from active, standard, and off settings. So that, again, that sounds like it is an electronic stabilization. I don't know if it's an in-body stabilization. Let's see what if somebody can find out about it. Let me know. A variable ND filter. Again, this is a first for the Cinealta line. A built-in electronically variable ND enables solo operators to quickly and easily adjust their exposure when faced with challenging runs. Again, the Venice has the traditional mechanical analog ND system, filter tray, which some people, a lot of DPs still prefer, because with analog, things can go awry. If something was to go awry, you can fix it. If electronic NDs go awry, electronic goes awry, you're kind of out of a camera. So that's the only. So it will be interesting to see what high-end DPs think of that. I love that. I think it's a great thing to have. So the latitude, the dynamic range. The Burano's 8.6K sensor provides a massive 16 stops of dynamic range, producing phenomenal images. So they're saying 16 stops. Obviously, Gerald and Dunn, Cine D, and all the other people that do these tests, we'll get to see. At the end of the day, if you have 12 stops of dynamic range, if you got 12 good usable stops of dynamic range, you're good. Like 16 stuff, it's like, that's nice sweetness on tops. It's going to have a dual base of ISO at 800, 3200, versatile frame rate. So now it will be able to shoot. Here's the frame rates options. Burano supports multiple resolutions and frame rates, including full frame 8.6K at 30 frames a second, full frame cropped 6K at 60. Wait, what? Full. Am I the only one confused by that wording? Full frame cropped set. It's a full frame camera. How is it a full frame camera and then it's cropped? That doesn't make sense to me. Maybe the only thing okay, you know what? I'm overthinking this. Maybe they're talking about a full frame. It's still full frame, but it's the 2:1 aspect ratio. That's probably what they're talking about. Slow thought, but it's weirdly worded. That's all I gotta say. It's weirdly worded, but I'm assuming they're talking about 2:1 aspect ratio. So if you do 6K, 2:1, you can shoot 6K up to 60 frames per second. Super 35, 5.8K, and Super 35 4K you can do at 120 frames a second. So in Super 35 mode, you can do 128 frames a second. Looks like you can't do 120 frames per second in the full frame mode. So there's that. There's multiple codec support. So it's support from resolutions ranging from HD to 8.6K enables Burano to obtain the highest quality image for all your productions. Supported internal recording formats, including the new XAVC-H, which uses high efficient, which it basically uses H.265. So AVC-H is H.265, so it's a much more compressed, so gives you much more smaller files for your 8K files. You can use the XONC, which is their high-end, their industry codec, their built industry codec LT. So this is their compressed version of that for stunning raw images with efficient storage, and both XAVC-I and XAVC-L for UHD4. So it looks like you will be able to shoot raw internally. If I'm understanding this correctly, you'll be able to shoot raw internally. We'll find out in just a second. Ideal for most advantages: XON, external internal range, original camera negatives. Codec combines 16-bit precision with moderate bit rates to produce amazing color reproductions using manageable file size. XOCN is supported for multiple resolution frame rates up to 8.6K at 16 by 9, 30 frames per second. All right. So the Burano has dual card slots, will support CF Express Type B. So they're not moving. So they're moving away from terms. They've always been not in the CF Express Type A for their Cinealta line. They've been using their own sort of media. But in terms of like the FX lines, they're moving away from CF Express Type A. They're going to CF Express Type B, which is the more universal codec. Makes sense. It gives you way more bang for your buck. So that's definitely it. It incorporates an SD card slot. My guess it's just for proxies. Interface grade, compact, Lifeform. Yeah. So that's basically the breakdown of that. Yeah, and then of course the price is $25,000. Yeah, I know for if Simon was here, in terms of the ordinary filmmaker, it would not, this is definitely not necessarily, something in the price range, But as a working cinematographer, I can tell you right now, I know there's a bunch of TPs that I know that are licking their chops to get this camera, and they probably will get it, because I mean, you're in the price range of like a Red V Raptor, so you are shooting 8K just like the Red V Raptor. You're not getting the same frame rates options, but you are getting better, supposedly better latitude performance. You are getting the same color science that is in the Sony Venice, which the Venice has been very, very popular. And you're getting Sony's phase detection autofocus. You're getting built-in NDs, which you gotta go all the way up to the bigger Red Raptor. You gotta go up to the bigger Red Raptor. I think it's the Ranger, Red Raptor, whatever the big red camera is. You got to go up to that one before you get to built-in NDs. This has NDs built right in it. It's electronic. It's designed for it. This thing is going to sell like gangbusters. Rental houses are going to flood. I guarantee you rental houses are going to flood to get this camera. I think a bunch of independent filmmakers are going to get it. This is definitely going to... Sony's going to dominate the cinema market with this one. All right, let's see what we got here. Sony A1, something about the Sony A1? Sony A1 Mark II will be an interesting camera. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, man. So what Free Piece is basically saying is because the rumor is that the sensor that is in this camera is going to be the same sensor that will eventually make its way into the A1 Mark II. Who knows? We shall see. But again, those are all just rumors at the moment. Have seen the GFX the second. Remember, it's the GFX 100 the second, not two. They specifically it's GFX 100 the second, and now G9 II. Yep. So the GFX 100. It's a very interesting camera, but I will be interested to see how many people are going to start exploring medium formats with that camera. Competitor of the Alexa Mini? Oh, hell yes, it is. This camera, because right now you could probably get a used Alexa Mini for the same price. Now the Alexa Mini has a better established name. You're going. I don't want to say you can get jobs, but there's still people that love the name of the Arri Alexa and know the Arri Alexa Mini. They know it. You could get a good Arri Alexa Mini for $25,000, a used one. You probably could get it even cheaper than that. But I will tell you this: for those that want to go with the more modern filmmaking, and Trevor and me have been talking about like documentaries. Like this camera is going to do. This camera is going to do so much. It's going to do so well. No one is going to put e-glass on this. Why would you? This thing is a beast. You know what, Trevor? Challenge accepted. If I ever get a chance to rent this camera, maybe own it. Who knows? I'm far away of still upgrading from. But if possible, maybe I may just take you on that challenge and just throw e-glass just to throw some reaction to you. Nah, I'm just kidding. Maybe. No, yeah, you put serious. No, if you're gonna get this camera, you're gonna pay $25,000. You're going to put you're gonna put solid high-end glass on it. Now, I will say this, Trevor. I can totally see documentarians put e-glass on it just for the fact that they can have that autofocus feature. The autofocus is pretty much the reason you would get it. Like if you're a Steadicam operator, the autofocus is basically and depending on the budget of the project, like even with this camera, if you don't have the crew to have everything you need, including a first AC, a second AC, or a camera op, if the budget's not in for all of that, the phase detection autofocus, I think, is going to be the reason why somebody will pick Sony glass for that. Downsample to 6K? Yeah, I think that's what it's basically saying. It's like you can downsample to 6K, but my guess is because it's like going 2:4 to 1 crop. Angelo says, great camera for small indie filmmakers. Like I said, the indie filmmaker is going to love this camera. Sony is getting better in the cinema market. In the cinema market, totally want to agree. If you're doing work, put 10K down and pay on 15 short-term loan. You can afford it if your work is regular. Totally agree. Now, obviously, we live in very interesting times right now. I think the thing is there may be a little bit of a slow in terms of people buying it. Because of the whole situation with Hollywood. For right now, everything is shut down. So some people may have took pre-orders in, but given how our current market is right now, there may be some things where we may not be able to. I don't know how initially the pre-orders, but I think a lot of people are going to be excited. I think especially once Hollywood, once the writers and the actors and the studios come together and come to an agreement, and these strikes can end, this thing is going to dominate. Sorry about that. I totally agree. This thing is going to dominate, and this is going to flood. But yeah, but the key thing is you got to have regular work. But just like the Red V Raptor, you're going to get you're going to get those cameras like the Red V Raptor, like RELXs. You better have consistent, good budget work. Yeah, totally. The price is insane. Fujifilm dropped a new film simulation. Awesome, nice. I'll have to take a look at it like that. Let's see if there's anything else going on right here. Let me kill this right here. Let me check B&H to see if there's any other major things. So we talked about the RFs, the G9, obviously the GFX, the GFX 100. So those are the big things. It looks like let's see. Cooks came out. For those the Cooks came out a while ago. But I think that's about it. Let's check chat one more time. But it looks like we've caught up on chat. But yeah, and this is just the beginning of the week. Again, we still got Blackmagic. Blackmagic is potentially going to make a splash in 2 days. So that's the next big boy that I'm super excited to hear what they have to say. But right now, between the G9 I think is going to do well. I think people that have been in the Micro Four Thirds system, that love the Micro Four Thirds ecosystem, that loves the Micro Four Thirds glass, the G9 is going to tick a lot of boxes. For me as a filmmaker, for me as someone who just appreciates the interesting things about the G86 that makes it unique, the CF Express Type B, the internal ProRes of 4K, 5.7K, the tilt screen. It's basically this with phase detection autofocus, but lacking certain features. I don't know how I feel about this. Would phase detection autofocus be great? Would I love it in the GH6? Absolutely. I know it's not going to come to the GH6. I don't know if I'll personally look at the G9. Simply because it's essentially the same thing with phase detection autofocus. And I have been able to film and create content with the GH6 without phase detection autofocus. So I don't necessarily feel the need for phase detection autofocus. In terms of the contrast is, it's not great. It's not the best thing since sliced bed. It's definitely, I'll say this, G6 definitely has their best iteration of the contrast, but it's still obviously not balanced. So if you're phase detection autofocus, I think that's going to be the thing. To me, phase detection autofocus is what's going to sell you. Look at the G9. In terms of the Burano, that is an awesome camera. I think that's going to be the talk. The Burano is going to be the talk until unless Blackmagic drops a bomb in 2 days. The thing that everybody's going to talk about this entire week going into IBC is the Burano. Is the capabilities of that camera, the fact that it's giving you everything, a lot of the things that has been made the Venice so popular in a compact size at a much more accessible price. But I think the dark horse that's going to, I think, creep up and catch a lot of people and sort of, raise a lot of eyebrows and catch people's interest is going to probably be Fujifilm with their GFX 100 II. There's a lot of cool, unique, interesting features about that camera. I wish there was open gate. I mean, we got a medium format 4.3 sensor. I want to use the whole thing. That's my only thing. I would seriously raise my eyebrows and actually make it's like, should I look at a Fujifilm? But $7,500, that's a lot. As a filmmaker, that's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah. So I'm going to get ready to get out soon. But as Free P says, this is one of the best times to be a filmmaker. There is so much coming out right now. It is going to be a fun week, and it's going to be a fun week. Last thing, I guess, from Trevor, I'm going to go online and look for more Burano footage. I want to see this. Some content creators hint should do a side-by-side of the Burano and Kinfinity. Yeah, I think that's another direct competitor that I think is Sony's definitely keeping in more eye out is Kinfinity, because their Mavic Edge, their Edge cameras they're absolutely gorgeous, and they give you some features that even this camera still doesn't give you. The Burano gives you. It gives you a 3.2 open gate recording option. It not only gives you that, it gives you the ability to I'm specifically talking about the Edge cameras, more specifically the Mavic Edge 8K, because this is 8K versus 8.6K. Makes sense. But we're talking about a camera, or the Kinfinity cameras. We're talking about an 8K camera that lets you shoot open gate, lets you downsample that open gate to 4K, so you can downsample it down to 4K, and you can shoot that up to 48 frames a second in the 8K, or 58 frames. Open gate, shoot it, and gives you so many different other technical tools. And it's a really well-designed camera, again. So, yeah, there's so many different options, and even when you build it out, I believe it's like $7,000 cheaper than what the it's more, actually no, it's more like 10. It's like 10 grand. It's like 10 grand cheaper. But Sony has its face detection autofocus system. Sony has the name recognition. Sony has the flagship camera that this is an ascendant from, that is going to basically already carried a lot of the weight. Kinfinity's catching up. Kinfinity's catching up, but they still got a long way to go. But I'm rooting for Kinfinity, because more competition just means better for us. But I'm going to wrap up the stream here. Thank you guys. Before you leave, please make sure to hit that like button so YouTube knows that people are actually watching my content. But thank you guys for joining me in the stream, and I will see you in 2 days. I'll see you on Thursday when we talk about Blackmagic. I can't wait. Super exciting times. I got calls. People are blowing me up right now, so let me go ahead and deal with this. I got business to deal with. But thank you guys for joining me, and as always, until next time, take care, everyone.